First of all, I'd like to thank Chat and Chew and Kathy and Robert and all the people who were involved with this program. My mother, of course, for asking me here. And this really isn't about me at all. This is about what a whole food plant-based diet can do for you, right? And that's really the bottom line. Let me get this first slide up here. I mean, I had some great results, but until you try it for yourself, you're never gonna know, you know. And that's really the key. And what I like to put up there, I call it a lifestyle, because it's not just a diet. You change your lifestyle, right? Because diet conjures up images of, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that, I'm not going to get full, you know, I'm not going to have to limit this or have to count points. That's not what this is. This is you eat what you want, as much as you want, and you feel great. You just eat the right types of foods, right? And so this came from this book, which I know it's not available here today, but it's called The Plant-Based Solution by Joel Kahn, MD, and it's got some excellent book. It's a summary of a lot of this stuff that they talk about. Who's the first time here for Chat and Chew? So even they never. Okay, great. That's good. So we can reach some people here. So no disease that can be treated by diet should be treated by any other means. Okay, so that kind of tags along with what Dr. Greger says, right? He's saying if you can do something, you can change your diet. Why wouldn't you do it? I mean, it all comes down, and I think it comes down to belief. Do you believe that the plant-based diet is going to help you? Well, I'm here to tell you that it does. That's why I'm here today. So how I got here. Okay, so I'll try not to talk too long, but anyway, so my first wake-up call was I had kidney stone. And if anybody's ever had a kidney stone, it's like the most painful thing that you can, but they say a man can experience. It's like a woman giving birth. They say. I know a woman giving birth is much more difficult, but but a kidney stone, you know, it was very painful. The only thing that stopped the pain was morphine. That was the first time in my life I ever had morphine. So anyway, what causes kidney stones? You know, probably a lot of protein, eating the standard American diet with a lot of meat, a lot of cheese, a lot of salt, that sort of thing. So I had that, and then I had a follow-up with an MRI. And the MRI showed that I had early signs of fatty liver disease. It's like, whoa, that doesn't sound good. And so that's when I, had the wake-up call. I said, I need to do something. I'd put weight on, I gained weight, and I wasn't exercising. And I'm like, hey, I need to change. So what do I need to do? So I bake a kale cake for my mom for her birthday. And so that was my start on the plant-based journey. You were at Chamberlain's. Yeah, that's right. I went to Chamberlain's and I saw Sue, and she helped me get all the good stuff there. So I highly recommend Chamberlain's over in Lakeland. It's a great store. They have a lot of good stuff over there. But anyway, so and then also my mom's been doing this for 5 years, and I know about Kathy and Robert. They've been doing it for a long time and the great results they've had. But every time I'd eat a plant-based meal, I felt so much better. I felt so good afterwards. I had energy. I didn't feel full and bloated and terrible. So another little aside to that, I had a heavy at a meal. I went to a friend's house. We had meat and potatoes and with cream and butter and all kinds of bad stuff. And I felt so sick that night that I was like, you know what, I got to do something. And so that's when I got So I made the cake for her birthday, and that was a year ago. January 8th of 2017 is when I started. I went all in. I didn't cut things out. I just said I eliminated all animal products from my diet, everything. Just went totally whole food, plant-based. So the benefits, for me, within 2 weeks, I was sleeping better. I felt rested in the morning, started losing weight, just felt better overall, started exercising. Now I'm running 3 times a week. But this goes back to energy. When you don't eat right, your body doesn't have the energy, so you don't want to do anything. You're like, oh, I'll sit on the couch and watch TV. But now you got so much energy, you want to go out and burn it off. And so then there again, back to you saw Dr. Greger. It's based on science. This is not just some kind of fly-by, like he was talking about some fad diet. Show me the science. And so that's what I did. I read the books, studied. So if I'm going to do this, I want to know why is it good for me? Is it, so anyway, it's powerful. There's science, and it's out there if you want to learn. Some people, they don't want to learn. They just don't care. They say, I want to eat healthy, and let me eat healthy. that's good. But you know, for me, I want to know, I want to study, I want to know, and so I read books and continue to learn, you know, on my journey here. So then again, lifestyle, not a diet. And so then this book, which I think is very good, he talks about increasing your lifespan, or your instead of, you know, your health span and your lifespan. You can live a long time, but if you're sick and you can't move and you feel terrible, that's not good. But your health span is the amount of time that you live when you can do the things that you love to do. You can get out and walk, you can go to parks, you can do whatever you want to do, and you know, a long time for your family, you feel good, you know. So, and then there y'all can read that little statement. That's what it says. I mean, so the three things that, you know, which I'm talking about here, you know, diet, you can change your diet, whole food, plant-based diet. You know, exercise, you know, just, you know, get moving, whatever it is. You know, if you like to walk, you can walk while you're watching TV or whatever. You don't have to run marathons or half marathons like my mom does or whatever. But, you know, get out there and do something. You know, get out, go to a park, come to Bach Tower. I'll put a plug in for Bach Tower because I'm a volunteer at Bach Tower Gardens in Lake Wales. So, you guys, I'm out there on Thursdays from 11 to 4. If you want to talk to me about anything, come out there. I'm out there by the tower. So it's a great place. It's a great place to relax. It's, you know, it's just a really, and this time of year it's great because there's the flowers are blooming. I was out there yesterday. And then, you know, going along with all that, you know, your spirit, whatever it is for you, you know, if you're yoga or meditation or you pray or whatever, you know, don't neglect that part of your life either. You know, nourish your soul is what I said there. And then here I am cooking one of the recipes from one of the good cookbooks that's out there. It's like a chana masala. I think my mom was helping me with that, and that was really good. So you can see got the veggie broth there. And that's something you'll see a lot about too when you're cooking. You don't need to use oil or butter or anything like that. You can use veggie broth, you can use water, you can use, you know, wine or whatever. So you can cook without the oil. But some people might have some questions about that.
Before you change it, that picture is a year old, isn't it?
Yeah, I probably
it looks a little different, doesn't it?
Yeah, I probably dropped. I went from over 220 to like 195 now is what I'm weighing now. So, and then that was like my breakfast that my mom and I like to have with kale, with turmeric and pepper on it, because that combination is supposed to be really good together. And then my oatmeal and quinoa and fruit. And that's kind of what we eat every day for breakfast. So, and then that was the completed dinner, the chana masala. But there's a lot of good cookbooks out there, and you know, you can just go on the internet and find great plant-based dishes. But it's not that I cook a lot. I cook in my family, you know, so it's easy to do. Just get a cutting board and a chef knife, and you chop vegetables. You can make a healthy dinner, and you can make stuff that'll last for several days. You don't have to cook every day, and that's what I do a lot.
You can mention your family, how they're beginning to.
Oh yeah, well yeah. So my family, I have 3 daughters. My wife and I have 3 daughters, and then my wife and I are empty nesters now. But she's not on board with it yet. I don't want to. But you know, she does eat what I cook, but she still likes to eat. And that may be what you run into in your family. You know, you may have one family member that wants to change, and maybe you have another one that doesn't. But don't let that stop you from, you know, taking care of your own health. And I think that's it. That's it. Well, thank you all for listening to me.
I started this many years ago. I've always been healthy. I've never had high blood pressure. I've never had high cholesterol. But I saw my friends my age starting to slow down, have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, gaining weight. And I thought, I didn't want to do that. And in my youth, I abused my body, just like probably most of us did. I drank too much, I smoked too much, I slept too little, ate too much. But I was always thin. In my 40s, I started gaining weight, and I started looking at my friends that were having issues, so I decided I need to do something about it. So I've been in process for a long time. I've been vegetarian for many years, and then moved to vegan, and then probably 10, 12 years ago, moved to plant-based, no oils, healthy vegan. But all my healthy years, I used to go to my doctor every couple of years, and I told her, the only reason I come to you is because you tell me how healthy I am. And that was the truth. And then one year she failed me. She didn't tell me how healthy I was. She told me I had a heart defect. And I was probably born with it. but I was going to have open heart surgery at some point in time. And that was scary for somebody I'd never even been in a hospital in my life. I didn't know what being sick was. But I decided that if I was going to have open heart surgery, I was going to go into it with the healthiest heart I could possibly have. So that's when I went full bore McDougall. 100%, no meat, no animal products, no oil, healthy, fresh, whole foods. Fast forward to 2016, and my surgery was scheduled. I had to have open heart surgery. Prior to that surgery, I had to have a cardiac catheterization, and that's where they go in to see what kind of blockages you have. They needed to know if there were any other issues before they opened me up to fix my heart valve. It was a valve defect. My cardiologist said my arteries were squeaky clean, and one of the technicians said she's never seen arteries like mine, even in people half my age. And boys and girls, that was all diet, 100% diet. So at this point in my life, is there anything I'm going to put in my mouth that will change that? No. And then one other little short story that goes back a few years. I know everybody, when they get in your 50s, they want you to do a colonoscopy, that fun little thing that we get to do. And so I did it just like everybody else does. I think I was in my mid-50s. And when they come out and do the consultation with you afterwards, he come out and the first words out of his mouth was, "You're vegetarian, aren't you?" And I said, "You can tell by looking?" And he said, "Oh yeah." So keep that in mind too.
I've always been thin. I'm 6'1", 142 pounds now. Not quite 6'1", but I've always been thin, except instead of 142, I used to weigh 175. And you think, well, 6'1", 175, that sounds pretty healthy. But that wasn't healthy for me. In fact, it was fat for me. I'm a little guy. I might be tall, but I have little bones. And I've always been a good runner, very good runner. In my 30s, I would win my age group all the time. But in my 40s and 50s, I got slow. I got heavy. Back in my 30s, I was 145, the weight I am now. In college, I was 145, the weight I am now. And so my life started taking some turns that I didn't like. I had health issues. I had high blood pressure. In fact, I was almost turned down for the service because of high blood pressure. I had a high heart rate. I've always burned hot, I like to say, but now on a plant-based diet, I'm back running again, I'm back racing again. I've been doing this for 7 years now. My normal blood pressure is 112/67. Very low. My heart rate now is 47. I've come way down. I'm back at my running shape now. I'm winning my age group in races. And I've gotten all these benefits from a diet that my wife made me eat. For some reason, it's harder for men to go this way. And I really, it just is. And usually, if a man does go this way, it's a woman's behind him. And Kathy didn't push me, but she'd cook a meat for me and then all vegetables for her. And then finally I got to the point with John McDougall's The Starch Solution. I was able to do it with a lot of starches because I have to have a lot of calories for all the exercising I do. I have to have 3,500 calories a day. That's a lot of calories. I eat a lot of food. But I don't eat any animal products. I've been eating this way 7 years now. And it's worked for me. It's been quite successful for me. I'm happy again, and I never even consider eating. I work in a law office. I'm a lawyer, and we have cakes and stuff like that all the time around. They don't even offer it to me anymore. They know I'm not going to eat it, and it's just the way it is. It becomes your way of life. You're not abstaining from anything. You're enjoying your food. You just don't enjoy the food that other people are enjoying. I love eating dates.
I'm Nat West, and like Robert, my wife made me do it. Now, Jane had a kind of a high cholesterol issue going, and we just decided we're not going to go on statins. I was a former hospital administrator, and I kind of know what medications do to you. So we decided that this was a much better course. And so within 3 months, I reduced my cholesterol by 34 points and lost about 15 pounds. I've always been kind of athletic, very much like Robert. So I've always exercised. So it wasn't so much a matter of exercise for me, because I'd always done that. So I always tell people that may have an interest in going this direction to think about foods that you like. Clearly, fruits and vegetables and beans and brown rice and whole wheat noodles and baked potatoes and sweet potatoes and nuts and oatmeal. These are things that I really like. And so I just kind of went about it from that standpoint. The other thing I think is very, very crucial is that the food be easily accessible. I think that's significant, because clearly, I'm sure there are other people who are just tempted, and I don't have something easily accessible to me. The cheeseburger looks good, So I do think that is important. Not only do you eat things that you enjoy eating, but that they're easily accessible. Not too many other lessons. I think really from a hospital administrator standpoint, that's what I did for a living. I always wondered about, how do we prevent this stuff? And when I read about Dean Ornish, which you just saw today, and Dr. Esselstyn, and these physicians that were saying, we can prevent all this stuff. I marveled today at, if you look in the front page of the paper, the hospital where I worked is now spending $107 million on buildings to take care of people that chose different lifestyles, many of which really. So, obviously I feel strongly about the prevention aspect for everybody, but I also realize in our country how much we're spending on health care and how much is probably unnecessary.
What if you're diabetic and you should not have corn or dates, that sort of thing? How do you handle that? You just don't have that.
Type 2 diabetic?
Yeah.
And I forgot to set this up. These are not medical experts, and so they can't give you medical advice, but they've had personal experience. Have any of y'all seen any individuals who may be diabetic and the kinds of foods they eat?
I don't, but I think Neil Bernard is kind of the diabetic expert. So,
There's a book called How to Reverse Diabetes or Reversing Diabetes. It's Neil Bernard, and there are some Facebook groups where there are several people in those groups that were there specifically plant-based for diabetes. And the popular opinion is that starch and sugar is the problem in diabetes. And the truth is, it's not. It's fat and oil. And if you want to give me your email address before we leave, I will email you a video that's just 6 minutes long, and it explains it so easily, it's just not even funny. It just explains it. It's Jane Esselstyn, Dr. Esselstyn's daughter, and she does a great video that explains diabetes. But it's not sugar and carbohydrates. The people that I know that reverse diabetes, type 2 diabetes, ate more potatoes than you probably eat in a year every month. Seriously.
I don't think any of us could add anything to that. That's a perfect answer. It's diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is not really a sugar problem. It's a fat problem. It's fat in the cells, intermyelineural fat.
Lipids,
Yeah.
And Jane's a nurse, so she'll be a good one to explain the process. That's good. Should we put that in the newsletter next time too? I think we put it in once, but I'll put it in the newsletter so that everybody can.
And I'll put it on the Facebook page.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Anybody's on Facebook?
Because it's a good one.
In fact, I'll tell you this, some doctors are of the belief that if you lose weight, you'll lose diabetes. They don't even say you don't even have to go plant-based, just lose weight and you lose type 2 diabetes. Now, I think it takes a little more than that, I really do. But that's some of the talk out there.
Dr. Barnard has a new book out. It's a cookbook. It's Preventing and Reversing the Diabetes 2. So we got the cookbook at the conference. So that is a new book that we'll add to the list.
Okay,
All the recipes.
okay.
This question is for Vicki. You didn't add the part. What else did the doctor tell you about your colonoscopy? When do you have to go back?
That's true. He told me, he said, you don't need another colonoscopy for 15, 20 years. You may never need, if you keep eating the way you're eating, you may never need another one. Told me not to worry about my colon.
This is not a question, and it's probably a little gross, but some years ago, I was at the hospital, and some guy came and spoke about special diets. And the guy said, "What you want are fluffy floaters." And at the time, it never really dawned on me, what in the world is this guy talking about, fluffy floaters? I can tell you now what fluffy floaters are. I told you it'd be gross. There is an amazing difference in poop. And you know, to me, that's just such a simple thing to understand, that what is happening inside your body is a lot less strain than, you know, prior to. And I see some heads nodding because you know it's true. It just simply changes what happens inside your body.
I would say this. Well, Dr. Greger talks about the Bristol stool scale. All you have to do is look it up, and it has the numbers of how the fluffy floaters should look. So look up the Bristol stool scale, and you'll see a picture, and you just compare and see why a whole food plant-based diet.
We won't talk about this.
I'll just make a quick comment about protein, because if you do decide to have a whole food plant-based diet, your friends are all going to ask you, well, where do you get your protein from? And so you need to be prepared to answer that, and you know, from your plants. That's where there's plenty of protein. You get more protein than you need from eating a plant-based diet. And so that's
Every single vegetable, every single one has protein in it. You're in the vegetable out there that have protein.
Where do cows get their protein?
yeah.
Where do elephants get their protein? Where do gorillas get their protein? The same place I do.
Yeah.
And I think the more
I just don't run it through the middleman first.
I'm just going to add too, what you tell your friends when they ask you where do you get your protein, you ask them where do you get your fiber from, because fiber is so important. So you know, you need to get your fiber, and then that makes everything go.
Or if you really want to have fun, you say, I need protein.
Another one?
Yes. Okay, we got another 15 minutes.
Well, I'm going to ask a question that was asked of me. Robert, I know you're changing reflux, and can you tell about that journey a little bit? You know what reflux is.
Yeah. When I went this way, I had a lot of health problems. I didn't go into them talking with you. Just a lot of problems. I had polyneuropathy. I had numbness in my hands. I had hemorrhoids. I had hemorrhoids. I had acid reflux, bad acid reflux. I dreaded going to work because I had a whole day where I had to sit up. I couldn't lie down to stop the acid reflux. I got headaches, a lot of issues. All that went away. I haven't had a headache in 7 years. My acid reflux took about 8 months to leave. I had to stick with it about 8 months, and that's how bad it was. But I haven't had acid reflux since. No hemorrhoids. The polyneuropathy, the numbness in my hands and feet, it's all gone. I just can't say enough about it. You know, it's funny, you know, looking at the science, everybody says you need to look at the science, but it's 100% successful for me. 100% successful. I mean, my life has changed now. I got a race I'm running tonight. I banged my leg the other day running 7 miles. 3 miles into the run, I fell on cement and scuffed up my leg. And I ran 4 more miles with blood coming down my leg. And the next day I ran. And the day after that I ran. I'm still running. So even with an injury, you don't have as much inflammation. You're able to do things. It's just, I can't say enough about it. It's 100% successful for me. And I don't need to read any book or any science to tell me just how much it's meant to me in my life.
And there is a lot of science out there, when I first started it, I wanted proof. I wanted to look stuff up. I saw this and I saw that, and you could drive yourself insane. So you just pick a couple of plant-based, or what I did is I picked a couple of plant-based doctors that I trusted. And primarily it was McDougall and Esselstyn are my 2 favorite. And then Gregor, who we saw today. And when people say, well, can you prove this or you can prove that, or can you show me the science? I just say no. I trust Dr. Esselstyn and I trust Dr. McDougall, and they did the research so that I don't have to. So, and that's just, you could make this very, very difficult if you try to get into that. Just pick a couple of plant-based doctors that you trust and follow their plan.
Who do you like to read for your guidance?
Oh gosh, where do we start? You know, Esselstyn, I guess, was the initial. Of course, as I mentioned, Dean Ornish, and How Not to Die, Gregor's book. It's long, but you know, reading just the first parts of it, you know, obviously are very, very educational. And Gregor's nutritionfacts.org is just spectacular. Man, the short little vignettes, they're not going to go on for hours. So I tell people about those as well.
Can you talk about the oh, I got it on. Can you talk about the vignettes? How that works? Because does everybody know about Gregor's vignettes? His little videos? Okay.
Well, it's just nutritionfacts.org. And Jane's a lot better than this than I am. But they're just simple little, 8-minute kinds of things of research that he's done about different kinds of subjects. And so, and I guess what so many of us like about him too is it just appears, as you can see in his speech, this is not about the money, and you can go on, you can go on the computer and find all kinds of things. We've got a deal for you, just $365 a month, and you can get it. But even his book, from what I gather, is not a money-making venture. Somehow he puts it either back into his research or into other nonprofits. So he just seems like a trusting kind of guy that's doing it for the right reasons to me.
On that nutritionfacts.org, it's nutritionfacts all together. .org. You go onto that site and you can give them your email address and they'll send you every day's video free. So you get one video a day, and it's usually about 3 to 8 minutes, as Matt just said. And they're awesome. I look at it, and sometimes I'll sneak and look at them even while I'm at work. They're really good. And then I just forward them on to Kathy, so we get them every day. For instance, he's been talking about mammograms, and the series on mammograms has just been really something. It's very, very interesting. So it's good stuff.
And good. We got a question?
Sure. I didn't have to speak up from here.
They can't get it on.
No, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. My question is, I was watching a film by Dr. Gregor, and he had some charts up about, and my question is related to oils, because everybody says no oils, and in his chart, he shows that, you know, coconut oil and palm kernel oil, bad oils, they're saturated fat. But he also had on the other side of his chart monounsaturated, where he talks about nuts and avocados and olive oil and canola oil as being good oils. So my question is, when you talk about no oils, do you eliminate all oils, or are you still using monounsaturated oils to some extent? Because my biggest thing is I love nuts. I mean, I eat nuts. Too many probably.
Eating nuts is not as bad for you as eating oils.
But he lists olive oil and canola oil in the same category as nuts and avocados. So that's
I've never seen that from him. I didn't know he promoted using any oils. Okay, I believe you. I'm just not one I've seen.
This is the one I'm talking about.
All right. I personally, myself, for me, I believe the reason that I have squeaky clean arteries is because I don't eat any oil at all.
The brachial artery study, measuring the brachial arteries and what happens if you have oil in your diet and you have your brachial artery tested after eating an oily meal, your arteries are going to be clogged up. There's no oil in my diet, zero oil in my diet. Now, you talk about monounsaturated fats. I eat avocados. I eat nuts. I eat a lot of avocados. I eat a lot of nuts. Remember I told you I was having to get 3,500 calories a day? How am I going to get the calories? I'm not eating calorie-dense foods. I'm not eating steak. That's calorie-dense. I'm not eating a food like that. So I've got to get that calorie somewhere. And so I eat a Haas avocado. I eat half an avocado a day. And I eat that at lunch with my big salad and beans too. So I do eat nuts, but it's just a handful of nuts, and it's English walnuts. I have them in my oatmeal, and I have a few in my salad at lunchtime too. So I'm a big believer because I've got to get the calories in eating nuts, avocados, but again, no oil in my diet. Occasionally, when I go out to eat and there's a vegan meal cooked with an oil, Kathy won't eat it. She's that insistent on no oil, but I'll eat it because I just think a little bit of oil every now and then is not going to kill me, although it might.
And the oil question is really well addressed by Dr. Esselstyn when he talks about what oil does to the endothelium lining of your arteries. And I had a phone consultation with him before I had my surgery because I emailed him and was shocked a few hours later when the phone rang and I heard his voice on the phone. I was spastic. But he is a firm believer and that's why I believe that's why I have squeaky clean arteries. I do not consume oil. I'm like Kathy. We go out to eat. There's oil on the menu. I either don't eat. I take my own salad dressing everywhere I go. I do not consume oil of any kind.
Just in your car.
Thank you.
Hi. So you said you bring your own salad dressing. I'd like to know what that is made out of because I'm having a really, really hard time other than balsamic vinegar.
Kathy makes salad dressings that are just incredible. But when I have to get a store-bought one without oil, I hate it. Because the one, Kathy, come here and tell them what you make. It's just so good.
Well, and I think that's
it's
a really
so
good
easy
question.
for her to make.
Yeah, that one is Jane Esselstyn's, and she does 3 parts of. I don't think I can tell the recipe because it's copyrighted, so that's why I'm hesitating.
I think she's got that all over the internet.
Okay, so it's 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, 2 tablespoons of mustard, and 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. And I want to tell you another thing, and I'm glad you asked that question because I just got an email that Olive Tap will be here for our April meeting. Now, I don't know, if you don't know who Olive Tap is, you're going to discover something wonderful. They're the company that sells the infused vinegar that Ann Esselstyn tells us about. And Cindy, what's that new flavor we like so much?
Apricot.
Yes. In fact, there's a door prize for that, isn't there? Yeah. Yeah, let me hold that out. You want? Let's do this one, Cindy, while we're on it. Yeah, this is a small bottle, and they'll be here, and you can taste them, and you can buy them next time. And they really work beautifully on salads, just excellent. So
I carry a small.
You don't even have to add anything to them, just themselves.
I just want to tell you what I do with that is I just add it to that dressing Kathy just talked about.
Oh.
So I'll put the dressing all over my salad, then I'll put a tablespoon or two of that.
Wow.
And if I don't have any of the salad dressing, I just use that.
Yeah.
And it's perfect.
Yeah.
What's the name? What flavor is it? Apricot.
Apricot.
It's so good.
My favorite is the chocolate one. The chocolate's to die for. I put it on strawberries and stuff like that. And then another new one is coconut. So I'm going to be sure they bring those. But who gets this one?
We have 9237.
Oh, sorry. We wanted you to be
9237.
Okay.
Okay, lots of people have left. So, somebody's going to get this delicious vinegar. 9209. Awesome!
Substitute my oil.
Yes, for your oil-free dressing.
And in answer to your question, I have a vinegar that I like. It's called Napa Valley Grand Reserve, and it's nice and thick, and it sticks to your. You would think it has oil or sugar or something in it because it actually clings to your lettuce. It doesn't just. It's not a normal vinegar. It's thin. It's thick. Napa Valley Grand Reserve balsamic vinegar. Now, I like to carry that because it doesn't need refrigerated, so I can have it in my car, in my purse, all the time. So if I'm hungry and I decide to go someplace, I've got that with me. And I can use it as a salad dressing.
I order by the case.
That's what I do. I order 6 at a time. And then there is a salad dressing at Whole Foods that I like. It's in the refrigerator section. And it's a balsamic vinaigrette, and it says oil-free right on the front, and you can read the ingredients. It's Cindy's Kitchens is the brand. Whole Foods and Fresh Markets has it sometimes too. And it's good. It's one of the few store-bought dressings that I like, but it does have to be refrigerated, so I can't carry it with me unless I know I'm going out to eat. The vinegar I can carry in my purse all the time if I need to.
Don't forget about calorie density. Oil is 120 calories per tablespoon. I mean, just a little bitty dab of oil is 120 calories. So it's 4,000 calories a pound for oil, and that's another reason to avoid oil. It's very calorie dense. In fact, it's the most calorie dense food that we eat.
Robert, what Dr. Clapper says is you can use the coconut oil, just put it on your skin. He kept saying that. You know, with dry skin, after you take your shower, just while you're still, just put the coconut on. Don't put it in here, but put it on your skin.
I love Dr. Clapper, and one of his best quotes to me is, "Your body is never not looking."
You want to come up? No. Well, I will do this then.
I think I can talk loud enough. What do you do if you don't like kale and you don't like beans?
If you don't like kale, don't eat kale. If you don't like beans, don't eat beans. I get into this argument with people in the plant-based community all the time. Well, I don't like kale. Well, don't eat it. I don't eat anything I don't like. Now, I happen to like kale certain ways. I don't like raw kale. You know, try it different ways. But if you really don't like it, eat spinach. You know, yeah, you can eat any kind of green. And as far as not liking beans, there's so many beans. You mean you don't like any beans?
I like green beans.
There you go. Eat green beans. I don't eat food I don't like. Period. I just don't.
Kale is, believe it or not, is 51% protein. That's why it's such a superfood. You know, people ask me about protein. Protein is important. I do a lot of weightlifting and running, and I need protein. But Kathy fixes me a big bowl of kale every morning, so I start out getting a lot of protein just before I even start all the exercise that I'm going to do during the day. So I told you all vegetables have protein, but kale is socked full of it. So is spinach. So is broccoli. All cruciferous vegetables are just socked with protein. So you eat this way, whether it's kale, spinach, broccoli, you're going to get plenty of protein.
And your taste will change.
Yes, I didn't like kale. I hated it.
To like things that you didn't think you liked before because you didn't eat them very much. You know.
John, what kinds of greens do you eat and prepare?
Well, yeah, I do. I eat the kale, like Robert, you guys do. Then, of course, broccoli and cauliflower. You know, spinach. I mean, salads. I mean, there's so much variety. Yeah.
Carrots.
Yeah, carrot. A lot of carrots.
I rarely go a day.
I mean, really any vegetable you can think of. Just go and just pick what you like. I mean, there's so much. Like bok choy is really good. And so, I mean, there's just so much. Just just try it and see what you like. Yeah.
There's rarely a day in my life, even before starting to eat this way, that I don't eat Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts. Yeah. And they're so good. And I'm just talking about them right now. I'm like,
Nat, are there any greens you want specifically?
Brussels sprouts.
Well, I don't like kale, but Jane sneaks it in my soup. Yeah, you can, some of the stuff that you don't particularly care for, you can masquerade it, and put it in with other stuff that you like. And so that's my little input on kale.
Well, I think we need to thank them for sharing. So,